In the small, picturesque village of Rosewood, nestled between rolling hills and sprawling meadows, there lived a young girl named Elara. She was well known in the village for her quiet demeanor, her thoughtful nature, and her sharp intellect. She wasn't one to draw attention to herself, preferring the company of books or the calmness of the natural world to the hustle and bustle of social gatherings. One warm summer evening, as the golden rays of the sun began to fade into a soft, purple twilight, Elara stood alone on the edge of the meadow. The cool evening breeze tugged gently at her hair, and the distant sound of birds returning to their nests filled the air. The sight of the sky transforming into hues of orange and lavender brought her a sense of peace, a feeling that these moments of solitude were precious, where her thoughts could wander freely without interruption. Elara loved these quiet times when the world seemed to pause, allowing her to reflect on everything, her dreams, her aspirations, and what the future might hold. And though her heart was full of a quiet ambition, it was the unknown that often troubled her. At the age of 18, Elara found herself at a crossroads. She had been offered a scholarship to attend one of the most prestigious universities in the city, a place where she could immerse herself in learning, grow her knowledge, and pursue her love for literature and the arts. Her heart had initially soared at the thought of the bustling city streets, the grand lecture halls, and the endless possibilities that awaited her. But as the days passed, the excitement slowly began to fade. A deep, knowing hesitation took its place. The thought of leaving Rosewood, leaving behind the only home she had ever known, filled her with uncertainty. Her family was her anchor. The quiet rhythm of village life, the simple comforts of home, and the love of those around her were all that she had ever needed. Could she really leave all of this behind for a future that was so uncertain? The idea of facing the unknown, the city's vastness and unfamiliarity, paralyzed her with doubt. One evening, as the warmth of the hearth flickered and the smell of her mother's freshly baked bread filled the room, Elara sat by the fireplace, her mind clouded with indecision. Her mother, ever patient, noticed the turmoil in her daughter's eyes. "Elara," her mother said softly, "you have such potential. I know you could achieve great things if you just give yourself the chance. But remember, sometimes the most difficult thing is to step into the unknown, to trust that you'll find your way. The world beyond this village is full of opportunities, and it's waiting for you to discover them." Elara nodded quietly, the weight of her mother's words sinking deep into her heart. Her mother's voice always had a calming effect, and yet, despite the encouragement, Elara still couldn't shake the feeling of fear that wrapped around her like a tight, invisible rope. She loved her family, loved the rhythms of the village, and the thought of leaving behind the familiar for the unknown was something she couldn't easily accept. As time went on, Elara chose to stay. She turned down the scholarship and decided that Rosewood, with its familiar faces, peaceful surroundings, and gentle pace, was where she was meant to be. Her family supported her decision, but Elara often caught the glimmer of disappointment in their eyes, as though they too wondered what might have been. Still, they never pushed her. They knew that whatever path she chose, it would be her own. The years passed quickly. The once young and hopeful Elara found herself slowly transforming into a woman who had grown comfortable in her quiet world. She watched her friends leave the village one by one, each of them venturing off to the city or beyond, each chasing their dreams with the same vigor she had once felt. They returned during the holidays, their stories of city life and new experiences filling the air. Elara smiled and listened, but a part of her always felt a twinge of regret, a whisper of what could have been. The seasons changed, and the landscape of Rosewood remained largely unchanged. Yet with each passing year, Elara found herself becoming more and more aware of the gap between her and those who had taken the leap. They had experienced so much: the struggles, the triumphs, the growth that only comes from embracing new challenges. She, on the other hand, had stayed in the quiet cocoon of her village, living a life that, though comfortable, now felt too small for the dreams she had once harbored. One autumn evening, Elara stood once again on the edge of the meadow, watching the sunset bleed into the night sky. Her heart ached as she thought about the opportunities she had let slip by. What if she had gone to the city? What if she had taken a risk? Could she have been someone different, someone braver? The realization hit her like a sudden gust of wind. Life is full of opportunities, but sometimes the hardest part is knowing when to take them. She had made a safe choice, one that gave her security and comfort, but in doing so, she had denied herself the chance to truly grow, to test her limits, and to see what the world had to offer. Now, Elara understood that sometimes, the fear of the unknown is what holds us back from discovering our true potential. She could not change the past, but she could choose to approach the future differently. Perhaps, in the years ahead, she would find another opportunity, another chance to step beyond her comfort zone. But for now, she was content in the quiet acceptance that life, no matter the path we choose, always holds lessons to be learned. And sometimes, those lessons come when we least expect them. As she turned away from the meadow and headed home, Elara smiled softly to herself. The future was still out there, waiting, and perhaps one day, she would have the courage to embrace it. Facts.